Hey, good morning, Coach.
Eric, good morning. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
We're ready. We're ready when you are.
You all set? Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks to everybody here for being flexible this morning and jumping on with short notice. You know, we're operating with abundance of caution, and we elected to pause in-person activities. It's our decision to protect the players and the coaches, the staffs, and their families, and do what's best for the team. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet virtually today. And then when we get our arms around everything, and our medical team feels that, comfortable, and there's a possibility of possibly having a short indoor walkthrough tonight, but we just got to kind of see as things go, as they work through it, where that's going to be, and then it's safe for our team. Andre and his team will go through all the close contacts with the league, and then we'll continue to make the decision that that puts our players, coaches, and staff in best position possible. Obviously, we're not exempt from this pandemic. We all know the cases are on the rise, and I just want to credit our players and coaches for adapting and staying flexible. It's not easy, but we had the right mindset, and I think that our guys showed that this morning with being able to adapt on short notice, and this is kind of where we're at right now. So I really appreciate that between Andre and Ryan and everybody else, of just understanding that we're going to get this thing handled the right way. And that's why we're here right now, being able to kind of explain where things are at for you guys, and appreciate your flexibility as well. So, we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that y'all may have.
First up, JJ.
Hey, Matt, preliminarily, are you and Andre and the team concerned that this is related to 3 practice squad players who tested positive earlier in the week?
Again, I don't think so. Preliminarily wise, I think Andre's working through all of that, and that's kind of the beauty of where we're at right now, is the communication and the collaboration with him and Dr. Sills and everybody else, and just it takes time to try to figure out the answers, and for us, we realize that we've had a few positive cases last week, and so we just felt like right now this was our decision to just say, you know what, let's just hit the pause button for right now, like literally by the hour. And let's just hit the pause button. Let's not put any of our players, coaches, staff at any type of risk. We've been doing Zoom meetings for weeks and weeks, and really this whole season. So let's continue to stick with our meetings via Zoom. And then once we get more information from Andre, and it's they feel good and they have a plan, then we'll get right back to it. And our players know that we had a meeting this morning to stay alert and be ready for a possible call. And we get right back to practice and or a walkthrough tonight. But, we're getting ready to have our meetings, and we've handled that part well. I think what we want to do is just say, okay, let's stop, let's reset here, and let's be smart, and let's put everybody's health and safety first. And that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing.
Dan Wiederer.
Matt, this whole thing's been a bit of a minefield really since the start of training camp. I'm curious what your current level of anxiety is at this stage of the year. And then secondarily, what are the channels of communication in terms of learning about potential postponements of Sunday?
Yeah. So, you know what, Dan, I would say this, as you go through this, it's pretty interesting for all of us that you first get started. And I can remember when this thing first started way back when, and just understanding the magnitude of what it could get to, but then realizing that here we are at this part of the season so far, and we've made it this far and have been able to have these games is pretty impressive. My concern, we don't get too high or low in one way or the other. We stay pretty even keel. And I think that's because probably on the front end, Dan, when this first, like I got the very first phone call of a COVID case, all of a sudden it's like, oh no, what do we do? How do we? Well, now what happens is you start learning a little bit more on how to handle things. And you understand that there's a lot more calm between Andre, Ryan, myself, the coaches, the players. It's just different now. And I think it's all about how you react to it. And you would have felt that this morning on the phone call. Here's the thing, Dan, is that this is the biggest part in an organization like this with 125 people in the building, is making sure that you communicate the right way, and you explain what's going on, why it's going on, and everybody's understands. I mean, let's face it, we're not naive to understand, and this is a worldwide pandemic, and we've been educated from people way higher than us, telling us that, listen, this is going to happen. You're crazy to think if you don't think there's going to be if you think there's going to be no cases. And so now it's like, okay, what's your plan and how do you react to it? And I think that's where Andre, Ryan, our coaches and the players have been really good with that. So now that we've had a few more cases recently, we got to keep digging into, okay, how do we do everything that we can to eliminate it as best we can, but to still be able to have your meetings and still be able to have your practices and still be able to play games, because that's our job, is to be able to help this league play games.
Anything
Jason?
on the postponement, Matt?
What's that?
Anything on the channels of communication in terms of the game getting pushed?
Yeah, no, I haven't had any of that, Dan. In regards to that, I think right now that just hasn't come up. I think we're trying to we'll get through this here, but that has not been brought up or talked about.
Jason Leisure?
Matt, it sounded like what you were saying is you did have players in the building this morning. Just to clarify.
Yeah. So what happened is when we got the news, guys get in here real early, and so
Right.
there was a few guys that were in, and then so immediately we spread the word to go ahead and head home, and then we had a Zoom meeting.
And what's your level of confidence with both this morning and overall, as far as your players and people in your building following protocol and doing everything possible to limit this spreading within the team?
Pretty good. I think they're doing a good job. They're following the rules, and it's just again, when you leave this bubble, what are you doing? But our guys, they've answered all the questions. They've done things as best as they can, and now it's just about handling it.
Pat Finley?
Matt, I know the roster move will be made at some point today, but can you give us any guidance on whether this was a practice squad player or an active roster guy?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into right now, just out of respect and their privacy, and that you guys will, like you just said, you'll know later on today with that kind of stuff. So it's just more so out of respect and privacy.
Brad Biggs?
Hey, Matt, so from a football standpoint, if you're able to go indoors for a walkthrough tonight, you said maybe that's a possibility. I guess potentially you could go to a little bit longer practice tomorrow. How does this affect preparation for Sunday?
Yeah, so here's the deal on that. It won't affect any preparation at all. It won't affect that. What we have to make sure is any of the reps that we missed out time-wise, I think more so for the players with their timing of running full speed versus not. We have to be careful of, if you're going to have a practice that's later in the evening, and that's why it's kind of more of the walkthrough mindset, more mental reps. You don't want to have a late practice and then have an early morning practice tomorrow. So we'll balance that out. We'll get them conditioned and stretched and all that stuff. But what happens is any of the reps that we felt like were significant timing wise, more specifically offensively, then we'll sneak those in tomorrow's practice.
Deion Miller?
Matt, what kind of a mental toll is this entire thing? I mean, you said we've been dealing with it for a long time, and you're so much about routine, and then things get interrupted, and it's been like that all season, and you're in the midst of a losing streak. Like, just mentally, where you feel like this team is exhausted by all this. Like, where do you feel like everybody's at?
You know what? I think that probably most people and players and coaches in the league right now, if you went around and took a poll, I'd say, yeah, it's definitely certainly a lot different mentally than it is in a quote unquote normal year. But it's also, this is like, in my opinion, this is where you have to be built for this kind of mental toughness. All of us, like everybody does. And the teams that handle it the right way, understanding, okay, there's a huge amount of trust, I feel like, too, Deion, in understanding that, okay, our coaches, our training, our head trainer and Andre, Ryan Pace, our general manager, everybody, like, as long as they trust us and know, like, we decided to do this for the safety of them. We're putting that above any of the physical practice reps, because that's where we're at right now. I think if you flip it and you say, well, we're gonna put some practice reps ahead or make it mean more than everybody coming into a building, and you just don't feel like it's the right thing to do, and then all of a sudden it gets worse like that, that's not the right thing to do. So we're about doing this the right way. Well, that's trust. And so the more trust that you build with your players, the more trust that your players build with you, that goes a long way. And then what happens is they understand that you're putting their family's health as a top priority. And then it makes them mentally stronger, so that anything that we missed or the reps we got to get tomorrow when we come back at it, they go a little bit harder because they know what we missed out yesterday. And then in the end, it's about playing on Sunday.
2 more for Coach. Colleen Kane.
Hey, Matt, just to clarify, when was the last time the practice squad guys that tested positive were around you guys? Was it Saturday, or are the practice squad guys around you guys on Sunday too? I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, so they're around different times, and for that time it was over the weekend when we were not around in regards to everybody. So it was, I don't have the exact days, and that's something I'd have to get from Dre with the details of that, but it was not as much of a concern, just because yesterday being here and everything, it was with everybody being here. That's where we're at right now. We thought it was a little bit more of, hey, let's step back now because of yesterday's scenario than it was with the practice squad guys.
Last one, Pat, go ahead.
Matt, what was the message to the guys this morning? And given the frustration you all have had for the last 6 weeks or so, how do you make sure that that they can stay focused?
There was zero frustration. Theirs is more of, I mean, they're on the Zoom call, and really, I mean, we were pretty clean in regards to, okay, here's the deal. Here's what our schedule is going to look like right now as far as moving forward with meetings. We're not going to skip a beat. Matter of fact, when you talk to a lot of people, they'll say that some of these Zoom meetings, you can actually see their facial expressions. They're not wearing a mask or a hat where you can only see their 2 eyes. So now you get a lot more clarity. There's not noises and you're far away and all these other things. So that part is fine. I mean, these guys also understand that this is, again, we've said it all year long, expect the unexpected. And when you do that, it's not, there's zero frustration. They all had to come in anyway and get their test this morning. So, we saw some guys getting their test and heading home. And now the biggest thing now, Pat, is for myself and everybody else to just be thoroughly clear with our communication of what the rest of today is going to look like, because it's not just the players and the coaches, but it's everybody else that helps make practice go. Like the little things you don't think of, that's where we just got to stay ahead. And once Dre gets the word to us, then we'll get the word to them, and then we rock and roll, and we just keep going. But honestly, zero frustration. I mean, the guys are they really understand and get the calmness to all this, and I appreciate that about them. So this is where we're at, man. We just keep rolling with it, and you come to work excited about your job, and you get after it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, take care. Thanks again.
Reminder, media, starting at noon today, we'll have our coordinators on this same call. This same call at noon, we'll have the coordinators. Thank you.